Picture this. It's the 1994 World Cup final. Brazil, the most attacking team on the planet, are bearing down on Italy's goal. Romário, the deadliest striker in the world, has the ball at his feet. The crowd is on their feet, expecting magic. But standing in his way is a 26-year-old Italian defender who moves like he's conducting a symphony. No panic, no desperate lunges, no last-ditch tackles, just pure, calculated elegance. Paolo Maldini doesn't just stop the attack. He makes it look like poetry in motion. But here's what'll absolutely blow your mind. Maldini didn't just defend, he redefined what defending could be. While other defenders were warriors, Maldini was an artist. While they fought battles, he painted masterpieces. We're talking about a player so elegant, so intelligent, that he turned the most unglamorous position in football into something beautiful. I've spent weeks studying Maldini's career, analyzing his positioning, his decision-making, his almost supernatural ability to be in the right place at exactly the right moment. What I discovered will change how you think about defending forever, because by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how one man transformed defending from destruction into creation, and why Paolo Maldini remains the most artistic defender who ever lived. So settle in, because this story will show you how football's greatest artist happened to play at the back.
The movement is outstanding. The black cat lies through. Brilliant!
It all started in Milan, Italy in 1968. Paolo Cesare Maldini was born into football royalty. His father Cesare was already a legend at AC Milan, captaining the team and representing Italy. But here's the thing. Young Paolo wasn't destined to be a defender. In fact, he started his youth career as a midfielder, even playing as a striker sometimes. But fate had other plans. At 16, Paolo was training with AC Milan's youth team when the coach noticed something extraordinary. While other young players would chase the ball frantically, Paolo seemed to anticipate where it was going before anyone else. He didn't just react to the game, he read it like a book that hadn't been written yet. Paolo sees things 3 moves ahead, his youth coach said. While other players are thinking about what's happening now, Paolo is already preparing for what's going to happen next. This wasn't just talent, this was intelligence. Pure footballing intelligence that would become Maldini's signature throughout his career. His professional debut came in 1985. At just 16 years old, AC Milan were playing Udinese, and the regular left-back was injured. The coach looked at this skinny teenager and made a decision that would change football history. Paolo Maldini was thrown into Serie A, the most tactical league in the world, against grown men who had been playing professional football longer than he'd been alive. Most teenagers would have been overwhelmed. Paolo? He played like he'd been doing it for years. What made that debut so remarkable wasn't just that he didn't make mistakes. It was how he made defending look effortless. While other defenders were sliding into tackles and making desperate clearances, Paolo was simply there, in the right position, at the right time, making the right decision. It was like watching a master chess player, one journalist wrote after that debut. Every move was calculated, every position was perfect. This wasn't defending, this was art. But Paolo's true education was just beginning, playing alongside legends like Franco Baresi, Mauro Tassotti, and Costa Curta. He was learning from the masters of defensive art. AC Milan in the late 1980s and early 1990s wasn't just a team, it was a university of defending. Under coach Arrigo Sacchi, Milan developed a defensive system that was revolutionary. It wasn't about destroying attacks, it was about controlling them. The offside trap, the high defensive line, the coordinated movement, it was defending as a collective art form, and Paolo Maldini was the perfect student. By the early 1990s, Maldini had established himself as the best left-back in the world, but calling him a left-back was like calling Michelangelo a painter. Technically correct, but missing the bigger picture. Paolo wasn't just defending, he was creating. His positioning was so perfect that attackers would often find themselves running into dead ends without understanding why. His timing was so precise that he could win the ball without making contact with the opponent. His passing was so accurate that he could launch attacks from his own penalty area. Playing against Maldini was like trying to solve a puzzle that kept changing, said Brazilian striker Careca. You'd think you had him figured out, and then suddenly you'd be running into a wall that wasn't there a second before. The 1994 World Cup final was where Maldini's artistry reached its peak, facing Brazil's incredible attack. Romário, Bebeto, players who had been terrorizing defenses all tournament. Paolo put on a masterclass that redefined what defending could look like. But here's what was incredible about that performance. Maldini barely made any tackles. He didn't need to. His positioning was so perfect, his reading of the game so superior, that he simply intercepted passes and cut out attacks before they could develop. Maldini didn't defend against us, Romário said years later. He conducted us. Like a maestro with an orchestra, he made us play the music he wanted to hear. Italy won that World Cup, and while Roberto Baggio got the headlines, those who understood football knew the truth. Paolo Maldini had just produced the most artistic defensive performance in World Cup history. If you're fascinated by this incredible approach to defending, make sure to subscribe to Soccer Chronicles because we explore the tactical genius behind football's greatest legends. Trust me, what comes next in Maldini's story will show you just how far this artistry could go. As the 1990s progressed, Maldini's game evolved in ways that seemed impossible. Most defenders peak in their late 20s and then decline. Paolo? He got better, and better, and better. In 1997, at the age of 29, he made a decision that shocked the football world. He moved from left back to center back, partnering with his mentor Franco Baresi in the heart of Milan's defense. Critics said he was too attacking-minded for the position, too used to the freedom of the flank. They couldn't have been more wrong. As a center back, Maldini's artistry reached new heights. Now he was the conductor of the entire defensive orchestra, organizing the backline with the precision of a Swiss watch. His communication was perfect, his leadership was inspiring, and his reading of the game was supernatural. When Paolo moved to center back, it was like watching a painter switch from watercolors to oil, said his teammate Kaká. Same artist, same vision, but now he had a bigger canvas to work with. The Champions League became Maldini's gallery. Night after night, against the best attackers in the world, he would produce defensive masterpieces that left crowds in awe, not because of spectacular tackles or dramatic clearances, but because of pure, elegant perfection. His performance against Barcelona in 2004 was typical Maldini. Facing Ronaldinho at the peak of his powers, Paolo didn't try to match the Brazilian's flair or trickery. Instead, he simply neutralized him through positioning, through intelligence, through an almost mystical understanding of space and time. I never felt like Maldini was trying to stop me, Ronaldinho said. It was more like he was guiding me away from where I wanted to go, like a gentle current in a river, pushing you in a different direction without you realizing it. But Maldini's artistry wasn't just about defending. His ability to start attacks from the back was revolutionary. While other center backs would clear the ball to safety, Paolo would pick out teammates with passes that most midfielders couldn't make. His long balls were works of art, perfectly weighted, precisely placed, turning defense into attack in a single moment. His short passing was even more impressive. Quick, accurate combinations that would slice through pressing opponents like a hot knife through butter. Paolo didn't just win the ball back, said his coach Carlo Ancelotti. He won it back and immediately made us better. That's not defending, that's creating. The 2003 Champions League final against Juventus showcased everything that made Maldini special. At 35 years old, an age when most defenders are thinking about retirement, Paolo produced a performance that was pure poetry. Every interception was perfectly timed. Every pass was precisely placed. Every movement was economical and elegant. He didn't waste energy on unnecessary actions. Every touch, every step, every decision had a purpose. Watching Maldini in that final was like watching a master craftsman at work, said Juventus striker David Trezeguet. Every move was deliberate. Every action was perfect. It was intimidating, but also beautiful. Milan won that final, and Maldini lifted his 6th Champions League trophy. But the real victory was for football itself. Proof that defending could be as beautiful as attacking, as creative as it was destructive. As Maldini entered his late 30s, something remarkable happened. While his pace decreased and his physical attributes declined, his artistry actually improved. He compensated for what time had taken away by becoming even more intelligent, even more precise, even more elegant. His partnership with Nesta became legendary. Two center backs who defended through intelligence rather than aggression, through positioning rather than physicality. They were like two dancers performing a perfectly choreographed routine, each knowing exactly where the other would be. Playing with Paolo was like having a telepathic connection, Nesta said. I would think about making a move, and he would already be covering for me. It was supernatural. The 2007 Champions League final at the age of 39 was Maldini's final masterpiece. Against Liverpool, the team that had broken Milan's hearts 2 years earlier, Paolo produced a performance that defied his age and showcased his eternal class. Every tackle was clean, every header was perfectly directed, every pass found its target. At an age when most players are long retired, Maldini was still painting masterpieces on football's biggest stage. That night in Athens, Paolo showed us that true artistry doesn't age, said his teammate Gattuso. His body might have been 39, but his mind was still creating magic. Milan won that final, and Maldini became the oldest player ever to win the Champions League. But more importantly, he had proven that defending could be timeless. that artistry could overcome age, that intelligence could triumph over athleticism. When Maldini finally retired in 2009 at the age of 41, football lost more than just a great defender. It lost an artist, a poet, a master craftsman who had spent 25 years showing the world that defending could be beautiful. His statistics tell only part of the story. Over 900 appearances for Milan, 126 caps for Italy, 8 Champions League finals, 5 victories. But numbers can't capture the elegance, the intelligence, the pure artistry that defined his career. Paolo didn't just play football, said his former coach Fabio Capello. He elevated it. He showed us that every position on the pitch could be played with beauty, with intelligence, with art. Modern defenders still study Maldini's games, not just for his technique, but for his approach. His understanding that defending wasn't about destruction, but about control. That it wasn't about stopping attacks, but about redirecting them. That it wasn't about fighting, but about dancing. Maldini taught us that defending is not the opposite of attacking, said current Italy coach Roberto Mancini. It's just another form of creativity, another way to express yourself on the football pitch. The influence of Maldini's artistry can be seen in today's game. The way modern defenders are expected to be comfortable on the ball, to contribute to build-up play, to be intelligent rather than just physical. That's Maldini's legacy. Players like Virgil van Dijk, Sergio Ramos, and Leonardo Bonucci all show traces of Maldini's influence. The understanding that great defending is about more than just stopping goals. It's about controlling the game, about creating opportunities, about turning defense into art. But perhaps Maldini's greatest achievement wasn't any trophy or individual award. It was changing how people think about defending. Before Paolo, defenders were seen as destroyers, as the players who stopped the beautiful game from happening. After Maldini, defending became part of the beautiful game. It became something that could be appreciated, admired, even loved. He showed that you could be elegant and effective, artistic and aggressive, creative and controlling. Paolo made defending sexy, said former England striker Alan Shearer. Before him, nobody talked about defenders as artists. After him, we all understood that defending could be just as beautiful as scoring goals. Today, when young defenders are learning their craft, coaches still use Maldini as the perfect example, not just of how to defend, but of how to think about defending. How to see it not as a limitation, but as an opportunity for expression. His famous quote captures his philosophy perfectly. "I never made a tackle to hurt someone. I made tackles to win the ball and start our next attack. Defending is not about destroying, it's about creating." And that's the lesson of Paolo Maldini's career, that every aspect of football can be played with artistry. That intelligence can be more powerful than athleticism. That elegance can be more effective than aggression. So the next time you watch a defender make a perfectly timed interception, or play a defense-splitting pass, or organize a backline with quiet authority, remember Paolo Maldini. Remember the man who showed us that defending could be art. If this story changed how you think about the beautiful game, make sure you're subscribed to Soccer Chronicles, because we're constantly uncovering the most incredible stories football has to offer. Hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell so you never miss our deep dives into the legends who shaped the sport we love. Trust me, there are so many more incredible tales waiting to be told. Because sometimes the most beautiful moments in football aren't the goals or the skills, they're the quiet moments of perfection that only true artists can create. And nobody created more of those moments than the man who made defending look like art.